woke corporations. That's not a real thing, according to some on the left. Here we go, another Democrat-inspired deception being pushed into the national agenda. That's the topic of today's Bold and Blunt, and I'm your host, Cheryl Chumley, giving you a Christian conservative look at today's news, politics, culture, and events. And I am happy to announce that Bold and Blunt is now available, not just at the Washington Times and WashingtonTimes.com, but also on Edify, E-D-I-F-I. Edify is a platform for faith-based podcasts. It's a great place if you want to get some inspiration and some bullet points actually to fight off these dark times. And Bold and Blunt is now part of Edify's lineup. So I ask you to please go to Edify, check out all the great podcasts there, including Bold and Blunt, and give a shout out to the people over there who are doing the best they can to give us some inspiration in these very trying times. So, woke corporations. Let me read you this headline, a recent commentary posted at USA Today. Corporations aren't woke, they just know their customers. And then the other half of the headline, this little bit of snark. Watch and learn, Republicans. Watch and learn, Republicans, because if you were only a Democrat, you would know better. There are no such things as woke corporations, according to this writer. Why are corporations for democracy? I'm quoting from the writer in USA Today. Why are corporations for democracy against racism and invested in fighting climate change? They're trying to please people and turn profits. So that's the agenda. That's the theme of this opinion columnist piece. And on one hand, you know what? The guy's got a little bit of a point, because some corporations are very sensitive to their customer base, and it only takes one or two loudmouth customers to cry about some liberal agenda, and the corporations, very in tune with the need to turn a profit, actually concede, and they fold, and they roll over, and they cater to these far left interests. So there are some corporate executives out there, there are some business people out there that they are so sensitive, and they are so, how can I say this, weak, that instead of just standing strong on principles of free market capitalism and telling these people with their far left agenda that they're just trying to make a living, they're not trying to get involved in politics, they do, out of concern for the agenda being pushed by the left, they do cater to the left. And they do it not because they have any massive political agenda where they want to change the shape of the nation, or they want to cripple the Constitution, or they want to crumble the capitalistic system, but they do it simply because in their own minds, in their soft liberal hearts, they are doing what's best for their customer base. They're trying to appease their customers. In their minds, they're trying to serve their customers. Okay, so we took care of the caveat for that little segment of society. But, why are corporations for democracy against racism and investing in fighting climate change? They're trying to please people and turn profits. Again, quoting from this USA Today opinion writer. Well, by and large, most of them are either fearful of what's taking place in the free market system, and they don't want to be run out of business by brick-throwing thugs of the left, or they're buying into this bigger agenda that's going on, and they want to be part of this new Great Reset, this new fourth industrial revolution, this Build Back Better. In other times, we would have called it the New World Order or the One World Order. It's all one and the same. This new SDGs being pushed by the United Nations. These are all phrases that have been tossed about mostly in the last year and a half because of the coronavirus. But if you look, if you do your research and look, you'll see that these phrases have been tossed about for years. And just to clarify, because I only use the acronym there, SDG, right, is Sustainable Development Goals. And these are the principles put forward by the United Nations, where every man, woman, and child in the entire world has everything they need to ensure a comfortable, carefree life, as if the UN were Christ. Basically, these SDGs are kind of the UN's way of pushing a society where nobody has to think, nobody has to work, nobody has to worry about a thing. And such a society, of course, is impossible on earth. And we, with biblical worldviews, understand that. We understand that in this world, we're not just warned by the Bible about tough times, but we're told to expect tough times. The poor will always be with you, Jesus says. And so we, with a Christian perspective, we with a faith-based worldview, understand that when the United Nations comes along with their 17 Sustainable Development Principles and tries to pretend as if these are real things you can bring about on earth for every man, woman, and child, we understand that this is the left's way of exerting total top-down control on the world's citizens, of putting the power and control in the hands of just a few, maybe 1% of the world, 5% of the world, and that's it. And the rest of us are all just forced to live in this basic plane of existence where we can't go up, we can't improve. Everything we do is for the state. Everything we do is to feed the state, the big UN global government state. And there are no hopes and dreams and aspirations. There is no free market and entrepreneurial spirit that drives us to succeed. It's just an existence where we're handed everything at birth and expected to shut up and just accept what we're given and live with it. And that's life. You're born, you work, you provide all your profits to the state to distribute as the state sees fit, and you've become so attuned to that way of living, you've become so accustomed to it, it's generational, that you don't even question it. You have no aspirations. You're a slave and you're happy. So we, with the biblical worldview, understand what's going on here. And there are plenty of people out there, though, who don't read their Bible or don't see the bigger picture of what's going on. So when this USA Today writer comes along and says things like corporations aren't woke, they just know their customers, that is a way of saying that you who see the bigger picture going on here are crazy loons and you're a conspiracy theorist. And it's all aimed at shutting down discourse and, in the end, shutting down fight against these woke corporations, which I can tell you is a very real thing. But let me just read from this USA Today opinion piece just to get the ball rolling along a little bit more. Have corporations been absorbed by the woke mob, and he puts woke mob in quotation marks, as high-profile Republicans have taken to claiming? The snark and the condescension, I mean, how much patronizing can you actually put in one sentence? And there you have it. The left is so good at patronizing those who don't buy into their sheep-like way of thinking. It's their biggest talent. It's such a talent. Anyhow, let me go back to this piece before I go down a rabbit hole. Are Nike, Delta, and Major League Baseball the new social justice warriors? And again, here come the quotation marks. Social justice warriors are put in quotation marks because you as the reader are supposed to gasp inwardly and try and distance yourself mentally from being put in that social justice warrior blaming box. You don't want to already, just reading this first couple lines already, if you believe this, you're set on notice that you're stupid. And if that doesn't drive home the point, if you're not getting that subtle blast of stupidity from this writer yet, here comes the second paragraph. Single word, please. Okay, so let's put this all together. Have corporations been absorbed by the quote-unquote woke mob, as high-profile Republicans have taken to claiming? Are Nike, Delta, and Major League Baseball the new quote-unquote social justice warriors? Please. In other words, please. You're a freaking moron if you think that. You're stupid. You're buying into the Fox News and Newsmax TV conservative tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. Okay, so let me read this next paragraph. Whether you're conservative or liberal, whether you condemn or cheer things like Nike's Colin Kaepernick ads or the corporate pushback against Georgia's new voting law, don't be tricked into thinking that America's corporate giants are becoming something fundamentally different from what they've always been. But what you can see them as, in addition to profit pursuers, are bellwethers, highly useful signalers of where the culture is headed and how reality-based organizations are positioning themselves for success. While you can't count on corporations to be your political best friend or enemy, you can certainly pick up a thing or two observing their behavior. Okay, so let's unwind that a little bit. If corporations were truly committed to advancing a cause like equality for all, or fighting poverty, or fighting racial injustice, or teaching kids to read, or something like that, corporations by themselves would take it on themselves by themselves to donate money to these causes, or to start campaigns for these causes, or to put a certain amount of their profits every year toward advancing these causes. Nobody says corporate executives can't do these things without pressure from the public. Okay, so you have free choice. In a capitalistic system, you can take your profits and you can use them as you will. If you're a business owner and you care deeply about something that you see in your community that is unfair, or that leaves people behind unfairly, or that unfairly and unjustly treats certain segments of society, you can take it on yourself to donate money and help out these members of community who seem to be unfairly treated. But when thugs come to your door and demand that you start donating your profits, and that's let's play the left's game, let's put donating in quotation marks. When they start pressuring you to quote unquote donate your profits to these causes, or maybe not even your profits, because they don't understand profit versus loss. Maybe they just want a cut of your money, whether it's profits or not. When they start pressuring you to quote unquote donate money to their specific leftist causes, that's not exactly what this author, what this writer is saying. That's not exactly catering to their customer base, to their customer will. Because a lot of these pressuring organizations and pressuring people are not their customers. They're far left activists who are trying to, in effect, steal money from private market individuals to put toward their pet far left causes, to advance their pet far left agendas. And they're acting as if they're doing a good service for all in the nation. They're acting as if they're doing some sort of charitable endeavor. So it goes even deeper than that, though. And listeners of Bold and Blunt know that I've spoken about this before. The World Economic Forum has this campaign called the Great Reset, where they want to reshape and redefine capitalism so that instead of corporate executives and instead of corporations in general being accountable to their shareholders, right? To the people who invest in their company, instead of being accountable to turning and churning profits to make the shareholders feel as if they are getting a return for their investment, now The Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum, wants to change that to become stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people that corporations should care about. And stakeholders, it's interesting when you peel back the onion on that word stakeholder, according to the World Economic Forum, and you find out how they define it. A stakeholder can be Black Lives Matter. A stakeholder can be Antifa. A stakeholder can be George Soros. A stakeholder for an American business can be some remote group of villagers in India who don't have clean drinking water and they live in poverty. All of a sudden, the American business has to provide for these remote villagers in India because it's their responsibility. These are our stakeholders now. It's all humanity that becomes involved in one corporation, in one corporate's profits. That's how the World Economic Forum is defining the new capitalistic system. It's all about sharing the wealth and redistributing the wealth and taking profits and giving it to those who don't have as much, which, again, let's go back to the biblical worldview, which, if you're a Christian, you should do this voluntarily, right? I mean, charity is part and parcel of a Christian duty, of a good Christian's duty. Charity keeps us free as well. In America, the more we give, the less we have to rely on government to dole out, to take, to give, right? So that's common sense. But to have the pinheads in the global government tell America, because it is America after all that has the most thriving capitalistic system. So this great reset the World Economic Forum is pushing is basically aimed at crippling America. We're the last wall here. We've got this great free market system, and we're such a big country with such a huge GDP and such a bustling business community that the World Economic Forum is really targeting America with this redefining of capitalism. The World Economic Forum targeting America to change the definition of capitalism so that suddenly, if you're a business owner in America, you don't just serve the customers who walk into your store, who walk into your facility, who pick up the phone and call you for your service. Suddenly, you need to concern yourself with some remote Jane and Joe in some other country that you've never heard of before. But because the World Economic Forum thinks that they deserve the profits you pull in because they don't have the same opportunities as you, suddenly the Great Reset says that your money, your profits, need to be given to those less fortunate than you. And guess who decides where your money goes? Well, you can't decide to give it to somebody in your community that you feel compassion for. No. You're not capable of making that decision. The bureaucrats have to make that decision. They will take your money and they will distribute it as they see fit on your behalf. And if you're lucky, they'll leave you enough so you can feed your own family for the week. If you're not lucky enough, well, you're lucky enough that the government is moving toward a universal basic income and moving toward distributing more and more stimulus checks. So if you don't get to make a profit from your business, no worry, the government's got your back. This is a great national tragedy that's taking place with our corporations, and one of the ways the left is hiding it from you is by telling you that corporations aren't woke, they just know their customers. And they're patronizing you by saying, watch and learn Republicans. So what do we do about it? What do those who know what's going on do about it? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because my guest today, Allyn Root, he wrote a book on how to deal with these woke corporations, and not just how to deal with them in the sort of philosophical sense. Let's sit around and discuss a game plan and let's strategize and let's form a committee and discuss ways that we can fight back. No, he has written a book that tells you step by step, you as the listener, you listening right now, you as the individual, what you can do to put a stop to this woke corporate culture that is rapidly, oh so rapidly, crumbling America's capitalistic system and taking with it its entire free market constitutional foundation. Wayne Allyn Root. He is known as the conservative warrior. He is the host of the nationally syndicated show, Wayne Allyn Root, Raw and Unfiltered, on the USA Radio Network. And he's host of the War Raw podcast. He has written this book. It's a handbook, okay? It's a handbook, and it's being billed as the priceless list for conservatives, Christians, patriots, and 80 plus million Trump warriors to cancel culture and save America. Did you get that? To cancel culture and save America. It's called The Great Patriot and Protest Boycott Book, and Wayne Allyn Root is here to discuss. Wayne, thank you so much for being on Bold and Blunt. I really appreciate your time.
Well, it's kind of old school week here because you're always on my show. So you're on the Wayne Allyn Root show. So one good turn deserves another. And here I am on the Cheryl podcast of the Great Washington Times. So love to be on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And, it's not just a friendship thing I want you on the show for. You have this amazing new book, and it's called The Great Patriot Protest and Boycott Book. And why I like it is it's just so full of solutions and recommendations and how to take down the far left. Talk a little bit about your book.
Yeah, The Great Patriot Protest and Boycott Book, number one in about 15 categories in Amazon, and really we have just barely touched the surface of PR. We've only been out for a week, and most of my interviews are this week. So the hope is it goes to the top 10 of all the books in Amazon. I think it will. It's on pace now. I've written 15 books. This is number 15. Wow. It's the highest rated book this early I've ever written, and I had one that was number one in the country. Out of every book in the country, number one, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide back in 2013.
Yeah.
So I know a big hit when I see one. This is going to be number one in the country, The Great Patriot Protest and Boycott Book. With this book, if companies go woke, I will teach you how to make them go broke. That's the point of the book. I have a solution. It's not just complaining, it's a solution. And I'm 3 hours a day on national radio. I do plenty of complaining about everything going on. This is the destruction of America. This is a communist takeover of America. This is Marxist. This is socialist. This is a nightmare. This is the end of the middle class. This is the end of capitalism. A lot of bad things going on, but someone's got to come up with solutions, and I'm pretty good at it. So this book is one big giant solution. It's the conservative version of Rules for Radicals, by Saul Alinsky, which is the handbook that all liberals live and die by. This is our version. I teach conservatives how to use protest and boycotts and intimidation and civil disobedience, just like liberals have done to us for decades. They've steamrolled us. They're the minority, but a loud one. And we're the silent majority. And I'm going to teach you how to become the loud majority. We can do the same things that Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton do to corporations, which is intimidate them, boycott them, and force them to think their way. And we can do it. And I included in this book, Cheryl, so it's not just how to do it. It's not just talk. I had telemarketers spend months calling all the biggest woke corporations in America and literally getting from them all their valuable information that it took 20, 30, 40, 100 phone calls per company to get, finally to get through and get it, which is the CEO's name, the board of directors' name, the email to reach the CEO, the phone number to reach the company, the physical mailing address to send snail mail, and all the social media accounts, and I put it all in this book. So literally for a lousy $15 book, I'm giving you literally $15, the keys to the kingdom. It's priceless. You could use this book for the next 20 years to dial all these corporations or email all these corporations and let them know that you're a conservative, you're a Christian, you're a patriot, and you're not going to stand for their liberal endorsements and liberal donations and liberal philosophy and liberal platform inside the company anymore, and you're going to stop buying from them. And I'm telling you, it'll scare the bejesus out of them. We have a chance to really change America, because I believe everything starts with the corporations, not the politicians. If they don't make donations anymore to Democrat politicians who are ruining America, and they tell them to cut this out and moderate, then I'm telling you it's going to happen, because they need the corporate money. So that's what this book is all about. If they go woke, we're going to teach them. I'm going to teach you, and we're going to teach them. They're going to go broke.
Now, you're not advocating to do as the left does and throw bricks through storefront windows, right?
No violence, no physical violence, but I'm a tough guy, you know, and you know what this book's about? Cheryl, I grew up a Jewish kid with acne, glasses, and braces in an all-black middle school and an all-black high school. Now, you tell me how I fared. I got beat up every day of my entire life. I ran home from school being chased by thugs. I got beat up in the bathroom. I got beat up in the lunchroom, and they stole my lunch. And then one really tough Italian kid who was like a gang member took pity on me. I don't know why. And he taught me how to be a tough guy and how to fight the whole summer. And I came back from a summer of getting beaten up by him until finally by the end of the summer I was able to beat him. And he was so proud that he taught me how to do that. And I came back, and everyone that tried to bully me, I knocked them unconscious. And from that point on, never again did anyone ever touch me. And all those kids that were bullies, guess what? They became my friends because they respected me. They don't respect you when you run from a bully, or you cower, or you beg a bully, or you shake from a bully. They respect you when you hit them back. And so I was able to beat the bullies at their own game. That's what this book is about, except not with the physical violence. This book is about beating the bullies at their own game mentally and verbally. Never assault, never be violent, but you've got to stand up to them, or you're never going to win, and they'll never respect you. This is the only way we can do it. And you know what I think is the number one issue in America besides the open border? That's the number one issue in America. But the number two issue is vaccine mandates.
Yep.
It's tearing the nation apart. You want to get a vaccine? Great, get one. You think that'll make you safe? Get one. You think that'll make you healthier? Get one. I disagree, by the way, but go get one. But I don't want one, and neither do most policemen, most firemen, most nurses, most paramedics, most prison guards, most name the business, military, Navy SEALs, jet fighter pilots. I've spoken to them all. They send me letters. They listen to my radio show. The letters of anguish. These are people who have been in their job for 10 years, 12 years, 19 years, and they're getting their 20-year pension in a matter of months, and they're willing to quit rather than get vaccinated. And when they do, let me tell you something. It proves two things. Number one, that we're not going to have any first responders or any military to protect us. We are in a world of trouble. If China attacks, we're in a world of trouble. If you need to call 911, no one's going to answer and no one's going to come, because all the cops are going to be like, I won't get vaccinated. I quit, or you fire me. There's not going to be any cops. So this is a nightmare for America. But the second thing it proves is all the nurses across America are quitting or being fired rather than take the vaccine. Why do you think that is? Because they are in the ER, and they're in the ICU, and they're in the doctor's offices, and they see how many people are sick and dying or dead from the vaccine. And so they're scared. Their life is not worth their job. So they're quitting $100,000 a year jobs because they will not get vaccinated and lose their lives so their family doesn't have a mother. So nurses are a tip-off as to how bad this vaccine is. This vaccine mandate is killing America.
I have to agree with you. And you know I agree with you because you and I have spoken about the vaccine mandates and the evil of vaccine mandates on your show previously. Why do you think conservatives through the years have been hesitant to turn the left's tricks back on them?
Well, I don't think they've been hesitant. I just think they're just like me. You know, no one could call me lazy. I'm the hardest working man in America. I work 16, 18 hours a day. I got 4 kids. I'm planning a wedding right now, right? I'm getting married. And so wedding, 4 kids, multiple businesses I'm CEO of, 3-hour national radio show, podcast, best-selling book out. You think I'm a little busy? Who has time in the middle of raising a family, running a business, or having a career? You know, conservatives are ambitious and we want to keep our jobs. We want to move up the ladder, or we have a business to run and we want to be number one. We have no time to call corporations or go to protests. Democrats go to protests because they don't have jobs. They have nothing else to do. They collect wealth welfare, they collect food stamps, they have a government job. They work 9 to 5, 4 days a week, Or in the case of Washington, they don't even show up at the job anymore because of COVID. You know what's a funny aside? My wife-to-be and I were invited to the White House 3 times last year by President Trump. And all 3 times we walked from the Trump International Hotel to the White House. And in the middle of the broad daylight, there was nobody on the streets of Washington. All the stores were boarded up. All the restaurants were closed. All the government buildings were boarded up. There was nobody walking and there was nobody driving. This is Washington, D.C. This is the mentality of government employees and government bureaucrats. They don't come to work and they're still getting their checks. Whereas the rest of us worked through COVID because if we didn't work, we wouldn't be able to pay our mortgages. So that's why conservatives don't fight back. We have families and Little League games and businesses to run and jobs to take care of, and we're just too busy. So that's why I wrote this book, because I was never fighting back, only with my mouth, but I was never calling these companies because I didn't know their address or the name of their CEO or how you contact them. So I've just put all of that information in the book for $15. You're getting that. So this book is a resource guide for every conservative, every Christian, every patriot, whoever wanted to fight back. Now you can take 5 lousy minutes a day and just send out 3 emails every day and change the future direction of America.
I don't know if you can do this in just a couple minutes because, of course, you've written a whole book about it. But if you had to give listeners right now a playback to put an end to the vaccine mandates, what steps could they immediately take?
Well, exactly what I'm planning to do, and I've announced on my national radio show because it's based in Las Vegas. Even though it's national and I'm in 50 markets around the country and lots of stations, the reality is it's a Vegas-centric show. It starts in Vegas. I live in Vegas, and I'm a firm believer this is the crossroads of America. Whatever happens here spreads all over the country. Remember those ads, what happens in Vegas?
Yes.
Stays in Vegas. Not true. Whatever happens in Vegas is a sign it's going to happen everywhere else because we are the crossroads of America. We're now a city of 2.2 million, and we have 50 million tourists a year. So the whole America visits Las Vegas. So I see all the trends before they happen. Mm-hmm. So New York doesn't allow you in a restaurant anymore unless you're vaccinated. LA, San Francisco, Chicago, same thing. Even though I keep hearing that none of them are enforcing it, by the way, because government's so dumb they don't even realize not one restaurant is enforcing it, nor can they afford to enforce it. They'd all go out of business. But nonetheless, you're not supposed to go to any restaurant. In Vegas, so far, nobody's done that. So I've already announced that the first restaurant that tries to block unvaccinated people from enjoying a nice meal, I'm going to bring 10,000 Las Vegans, my fans, to the front door of your restaurant. We're going to lock hands like Martin Luther King used to do in civil rights days, and we're going to never let anyone in your restaurant again until you're out of business.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, let's see the second one try it after they see me put the first one out of business. I'm not going to let Vegas become New York, and I think if New Yorkers had done this, it wouldn't be happening. You let it happen. I'm a Jew. I understand what happened in Nazi Germany. We let it happen. Nobody fought back till it was too late. There was wonderful Jewish resistance in the Warsaw Ghetto, Cheryl, after they were already in the ghetto and their lives were destroyed and they were outnumbered 20 to 1 and outgunned, and it was too late. You got to nip this in the bud now. Yep. So I will nip it in the bud in Las Vegas before it starts, and I hope I will inspire people all over America who are listening right now to organize the same thing in their town. Go put every restaurant that says vaccinated only out of business. Just destroy their business till they're out of business. And I hate to say that because I love small business people and I love entrepreneurs, but if you're going to try and stop me from eating out because I'm not vaccinated and I've never been sick in 30 years, do you realize I've never taken a flu shot? I don't take this vaccine. I've never had COVID. I haven't had the flu in 35 years. I haven't had a cold, a sniffle in 15 years because of all the vitamins I take, and I work out every day, 90 minutes a day, and I eat healthy. That's the key to not getting sick. I can't guarantee you no COVID, but that's certainly the key to staying healthy and building your immune system. That's so much better than any vaccine, even if the vaccine was good, which it's not. Even if it worked, which it doesn't. Even if it wasn't killing people, which it is. Even if it wasn't crippling people, which it is. If it simply worked, it wouldn't be as good as taking mega doses of vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, and several other vitamins that I take every single day, working out 90 minutes a day, and always eating healthy. That's what I do, and it works. I don't need your vaccine. You can't make me take your vaccine. I'm never taking your vaccine, and I'm going to fight so no one else has to if they don't want to. If you want to, take it. I'm not infringing on your freedom, nor am I going to make you sick, which is the most ridiculous argument ever. Can you imagine? If the vaccine works, why would anyone be afraid of being near a person who's unvaccinated?
Well, I think that what you just described is the real leadership role that a lot of Americans wary of taking the vaccine
Right.
have been waiting for. And I think that has a potential to spread like wildfire. I hope other radio show hosts or just, people across America stand up and do the same thing, because that's the strong voice we need. Just to finish up with this one last issue, there have been some interesting developments in the Black community, and I'm sure you're aware of this, that they're rising up and saying that the vaccine mandates are racist. And I'm taking a lot of delight into that.
Well, obviously they're not racist. They're not meant to wipe people off the face of the earth. They might be meant to wipe all Americans off the face of the earth. Plenty of white people are taking the vaccine and plenty of white people are refusing the vaccine. And none of us think it's because they're looking to kill white people. I think they're just looking to kill Americans. And so, or I don't know if they're looking to kill. You know what I've argued? I have a hard time believing that, like doctors want to murder people. No, they don't. I have a hard time believing even Dr. Fauci wants to murder people. I don't know. I'm not in someone's mind, so I don't know. You know what I think it is? It's just pure greed. They're all making billions off the vaccine. I saw that just the booster alone, vaccine companies will make $26 billion off the booster. Forget about first vaccine. They must have made 50 or 100 billion. Now they're going to make $26 billion off the booster. And that means there's lots of money, payola, to hand out of that $26 billion and the first $50 billion. Lots of money was handed out to politicians, to Democrats, to rhinos, to the media. All the people that are telling you to take the vaccine are bought off and bribed. All this is greed. I don't think any of them are thinking, gee, I want to kill everyone. I think it's just pure greed or greed mixed with ignorance. Because, no Jew in Israel says, let's kill all the Jews. But everyone in Israel is taking the vaccine, and the whole Israel is sick. Are you aware? Everyone is sick. The hospitals are overflowing, and the morgues are overflowing, and they've all had the vaccine. Same thing in England and Scotland, by the way. 80% of the deaths last month in Scotland were vaccinated, and there are quite a few nurse whistleblowers who are coming forward now to say in America the hospitals are filled with filled with vaccinated who are dying, and that we're being lied to. That every time they say it's all unvaccinated in the hospital, it's a complete lie, a made-up lie out of the blue. It would make Pinocchio blush. The hospitals are not filled with unvaccinated. They're filled with lots of vaccinated people who are sick from the vaccine and sick from COVID, and their immune system got weakened by the vaccine, so COVID's affecting them worse than you or me who might have natural immunity. So there's just a lot of lies going on. It's terrible propaganda. Reminds me of 1938. It's not the Holocaust, but it's the pre-Holocaust, where they just told lies in the media day and night to make you hate Jews. They're telling lies day and night in the media to make you hate unvaccinated people. Really disgraceful. So that's my answer on this thing. It's really all propaganda based on greed.
Yep, and you don't overstate. And speaking of answer on this thing, you really do have the solution here with the great Patriot protest and boycott book. I am on Amazon right now looking at your #1 bestseller stars. So I hope people pick up a copy of this book. Aside from Amazon, where else can they get it?
Yeah, that's the funny thing. People keep saying to me, Wayne, I love you. Wayne, I love your message. Wayne, I love your book. But Wayne, Amazon's the worst.
I know.
Why are you telling people to go to Amazon? Well, you can't buy a book from a conservative. Who sells books? The three that carry my book. With a normal publisher, the three that carry my book, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target. That's the three places you can go to get my book. Well, guess what? Target's no better. Target's one of the 100 companies in my book.
Right.
That's listed as we should boycott them. And they're selling my book. and so Amazon's terrible, but they sell 90% of all books. So an author has to give you Amazon. And then Barnes & Noble's an alternative, but you don't think liberal Barnes & Noble bookseller filled with little brainiac librarians at the cash register, you don't think any of them are conservative, do you? There's no conservative place to buy the book. But I say to everybody, if you quit buying anything from Amazon except conservative books, I think that sends the same message as if you quit and buy nothing. If you just buy Allyn Root and Mark Levin, and Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity, and you don't buy anything else from them but that, boy, are they going to get the message real fast.
And Cheryl Chumley.
And Cheryl Chumley, of course. Cheryl Chumley, right at the top. Cheryl Chumley and Allyn Root and Mark Levin. There we go, the triumvirate.
Wade, it's so great to speak with you again. I appreciate this. The principles that you put forward in this book are just amazing.
Thank you very much, and God God bless you and your audience. My website's rootforamerica.com if you want to read more about it. It is the great Patriot protest and boycott book with not only the instructions on how to do it, but all the companies and all the contact information so we can make a difference and intimidate just like the left does. Two could play at this game. Thank you, Cheryl.
Perfect, Wayne. Thank you. The Great Patriot Protest and Boycott book. You have to check it out. You have to check it out because, look, we all know what the problems are in America. We all see it. We all feel it. What we're short on are solutions. And this book is a guide for the individual to get involved now. You want to save America? You want to save America's liberties for American children well into the future? Got to get involved. And this book is an easy peasy way to get involved. Get off the couch, start fighting for the liberties of America. Thank you for listening. Don't forget, please go to Edify and check out Bold and Blunt at Edify, the platform for faith-based podcasts. And also download Bold and Blunt onto your phone so you can take it with you on your walks, on your train rides and subway rides to work, because I know well that Bold and Blunt listeners are working Americans. You're not out in the streets with Antifa and Black Lives Matter throwing bricks in storefront windows. You're actually on your way to work. So download it so you can take it with you and listen during your commute. And go to WashingtonTimes.com and subscribe to my newsletter there at WashingtonTimes.com. Comes out 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Find my name on the website, hyperlinked. Click on it, and there are some easy directions at the bottom of any of my commentaries on how to subscribe to my 3 times a week newsletter, where you will also get, in addition to all my daily commentaries, you will also get my twice weekly Bold and Blunt podcast. Bold and Blunt delivered straight to your email box. How easy is that? And one more thing before we go. If you like what the Washington Times has to offer, why not subscribe? Why not support a news organization that actually works to bring you the truth, not the propaganda? Go to WashingtonTimes.com/Cheryl, type in your info, and you will get a steep discount for a year's access to the digital platform of the Washington Times. It's a 50% off deal. Can't beat it. Support the Washington Times. And I want to say thank you. Thank you right now to all the Washington Times subscribers. I want to say thank you personally if you're a subscriber to my newsletter and a subscriber to my podcast. I want to say thank you very much for that support. Really means a lot. Really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Stay blunt. Stay bold.